Hello and welcome to this video. This is going to be part of the Divine Partnership Coaching series and also its own standalone video. And I just wanted to do a brief video about recognizing the pain body in others and how to, I don't want to say dismiss, but how to recognize it so that you can follow your own inner being and your own compass. Because what commonly happens in relationships is that, whether it's a divine relationship or a karmic relationship, there's going to be times when contrast occurs and you you're both at odds, especially in divine partnerships, because most often you're like polar opposites. And even in, I don't want to say typical relationships. I look at all healthy relationships as divine relationships, but relationships don't work if you're too similar. But likewise, they don't work if you're too different. So in a healthy relationship, you're going to be like imperfectly perfect. You're going to be just different enough and just alike enough. And that means in our humanness, there's going to be moments when we disagree. And there's going to be some periods where one or both of us is out of alignment. And what often happens is we go to seek the feedback and opinions of our friends, our family, counselors, therapists. We go and read things online. And unfortunately, until we become conscious that it's something that we could run into, we often have at least a certain number of friends who give us advice from their pain bodies. And there's plenty of people who write, help for relationships from their pain body. There's plenty of counselors who do that too. And even friends who are typically in a positive alignment and who are not responding from pain body will still have their, unaligned days where they're going to be offering you information from a place of hurting rather than a place of healing and love. And it's important to recognize that there are going to be plenty of times in life that you're going to experience others giving you advice from their experienced trauma. And especially within relationships. Now, the key thing to recognize is that, well, first let me say, so your pain body, I highly recommend that you look up Eckart Tolle's explanation of the pain body. The best way that I can summarize it is that through growing up, we end up having burdens placed on us that I would call ancestral traumas or family traumas. They're things that have been passed on to our parents and the people that we connect with in our families, and then because of that we kind of get fragmented growing up, and then we develop our own pain bodies and take on our own traumas, our own memes from experiencing life from an ego perspective. And then we go through relationships and jobs and things like that where, unfortunately, at least, in the last, I'm going to say like 100 generations, we've typically conditioned ourselves as human beings to walk through life from a place of ego. And ego, there's two main points to ego. One is it acts as our autopilot and works with instinct to help keep us alive. So it's kind of an autopilot program until we become conscious and sentient enough to make choices for ourselves without having to be in constant like fight or flight mode. And then later on, when we do become conscious, ego really just becomes a data collector. Like, it's no longer just attached to pain body. Like, there is value for it. But up until that point, we are often conditioned to focus only on avoiding pain. Tony Robbins talks about how, like, humans are pretty easy to understand if you think that we're biologically and psychologically programmed to avoid pain and increase pleasure. However, humans for a very, very long time have mostly just been programmed to avoid pain. We don't even necessarily seek pleasure. We just kind of hope that pleasure will fall in our laps by avoiding pain. And unfortunately, that's not the way the universe works. It's a world of like attracts like. So if we're constantly just on the lookout to avoid pain, we manifest more pain to avoid. And so pain body will often look like let's say that you go to a sibling or a friend or a therapist even, and you say, I really would like my current relationship to work out, but there's this problem and this problem and this problem, and I'm not sure how to solve them. Or say that you go to a friend's and you really just, like, maybe you're the type of person that needs to just say things as they come out, and as they come out you kind of understand them better and you understand yourself better, and you really want to vent and get that out, and it's not so much about getting the other person's advice, but you do want to hear what their opinion is of things. Or if you're following with the Divine Partnership coaching program, it could be, that you're in separation with your divine partner, and so there have been problems. And when somebody responds to you in their pain body, you can most easily recognize it by their avoidance of pain. And this is often called a trauma response. So if you were to say, well, my partner didn't understand me, like they didn't listen to me, there was, the person in trauma response would most likely be say, well, then don't listen to them, or just ignore them, don't talk to them. Or you could say, like, say that you were telling them that your partner didn't reciprocate the things that you needed. Or I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that we do through relationships. So maybe they didn't reciprocate. Maybe they weren't good at compliments. Maybe they gave more attention to other people and you were never the priority. Or maybe they were a messy person, or weren't very thoughtful, or finished your sentences all the time, or had alcohol problems, or road rage problems, or maybe it even got as far as I want to say cheating, but I prefer to say faithlessness, because there's more than just physical cheating. Like maybe they stopped believing in the relationship and you were the one upholding it and working on it, and they didn't. Or maybe they did cheat on you, or maybe they abandoned it, or there's all sorts of different things that can happen, and there are plenty of ways to heal those things. And especially if you feel, I want to say heart called, but like soul called to another person, there's likely your divine partner, you want to work those things out, and you see within them the ability for them to work with you. You know in the base of your being that you can work it out. But if you are talking with somebody, especially somebody that you respect, or that you feel like they should have a good amount of either experience or education or combination of, to be able to help you with your relationship. And if they respond with trauma response or pain body, then it can really throw you off. To any one of those experiences, you're often going to see someone who is in pain body. They're going to say stuff like, well, you should go no contact and completely ignore them, or you should just do to them what they did to you, or, tit for tat shit, or you're better off without them, or you're too different, or you're too much alike, or well, you could get hurt again, or don't you remember the last time that you tried to work something out with somebody and it didn't work out for you, or that just they can also take you into a victim place, like, well, you got really, really hurt, or they're, maybe they take the other person to victim place. Like, well, they've got so many problems that you can't help them with or deal with or cope with. Or they might go to, it's because victim villain often is a dynamic that goes together. They might, say that the other person, that the person you want to work with is a villain. Or they might villainize you and say, well, when you were with them, you were a really angry person, or you lied a lot, and I think that had to do with them. Or they might tell you stories about times that they got hurt, and that's why they responded in that way. And I'm not saying that anybody who is in pain body or trauma response is like a bad person. I mean, there is no judgment on that. We've all been in that place. I've been that person too. The importance is to understand when you are talking with somebody who is in pain body, and when they are giving you their wisdom from trauma response, because unfortunately, whether that person is consistently there or temporarily there, they're not offering helpful advice. And the thing is, like, if this is part of the value in cultivating diverse friendships, because everybody's in a different place. You're never going to have somebody who's always in pain body or always in positive alignment with their inner being. But, you know, you definitely need feedback. We all need feedback. We're primates. We're social beings. We need feedback from others, even if only to help us come back to ourselves. So, and in relationships in particular, at least I'm a firm believer that they're not, yeah, you don't want to like air all your dirty laundry to everybody all the time, but you should have at least a core group of people that you can talk to about your relationship, who are neither, like, you don't want people who are just yes men and yes women that just tell you everything is sunshine and roses when it's not. But you also don't want people who are overly pessimistic or realists about things either. You want people who are in a healthy middle ground, who understand what healthy interdependence looks like. And sometimes that requires doing a little bit of effort, and other times it requires stepping back, and other times it requires stepping toward, stepping in, leaning into the relationship. And you want at least a couple of friends that that you can be completely honest with, and even have moments where you're a dick and you just, I just feel this way about it. And they won't hold you there. They know that you are typically a loving, kind, and understanding person. And and you should be able to hold that sort of space for them too. So it's reciprocal, healthy friendships that do that. And the only way to develop those is to recognize pain body trauma responses, so that you can recognize the people that are typically in pain body or trauma response most often, and you can you can decide not to rendezvous with them when they're in that space. And you can decide to rendezvous with people who are in that space and cultivate relationships with them that help support where you want to go. And the best thing to do when you have shared something with somebody and that they are in pain body or trauma response, and you recognize that there's two things you're going to recognize. One, whatever they're telling you makes you feel like crap. Like, that's your emotional GPS, your VPS, your vibrational positioning system, telling you that is not in alignment with your inner being, with your soul, with your heart, your true heart. It's not in alignment. These people are telling you to do things because they have been hurt. And hurt people often hurt people who didn't do anything wrong, just out of fear, just trying to avoid more pain. And it's understandable. But when you want healthy, mature relationships of all kinds, you got to stop responding from pain body trauma response. And the best way to do that is to start observing it in others, so you can observe it in yourself, and then become a person who is in alignment with your inner being and not with your pain body. That's the first step to lining up with others who are also in their inner being alignment and not their pain bodies. And from doing that, then you become a healthier individual, and you develop relationships you can trust with people that you know you can come to, and they will give you real feedback, and they will support you in whatever you want to pursue, even if they don't fully understand it. And they should be the type of friend who, or therapist or family member or whomever, that knows that even if they don't understand it, that you are the type of person who only pursues things that are in alignment with you, even if it takes a little bit of work. My best advice when you come across somebody that is in their pain body when they're giving you advice is simply to observe it. Just observe, like, okay, when you feel like say that you're in separation with somebody, or you've broken up with them, and you tell somebody that, I'd really like to make this work out. I see a lot of value. I see a lot of change in them. I see a lot of alignment between us. I want to make it work out. And this person is aware of some of the troubles that you had, and they say, well, you got to make them work for it, or you got to do something that punishes them, or I wouldn't do it, you could get hurt, or something like that. Like, first recognize how that makes you feel. If you, my general rule of thumb is that if you feel neutral or good about it, then it's in alignment with you. But if you feel neutral or low vibration, like that makes you feel sad, empty, tired, angry, misunderstood, frustrated, if it gives you doubt, any sort of low vibration stuff, then it's not that what you want to do is bad. It's what you're hearing from these other people that is bad. Because in most cases, when you go to somebody and you say, I want to do this, I want to work this out, you feel good about that. You wouldn't have brought it up if you didn't feel good about it. So it makes no sense to assume that because somebody else is responding from their painful experiences, that suddenly what you want to do is bad. Unfortunately, that's the way we've trained each other to think that it is, that if somebody else thinks that what we want to do is inappropriate or unhealthy, that it must be. And it's not. That's why the value in learning about your emotional GPS. Now, when you start observing that from other people, then, look, I have a video that's Contrast Made Easy. And the very simple thing is to recognize that if you have rendezvoused with somebody that is in their pain body, it is likely that you are also in that space. So take that contrast from them, and simply look within yourself about where it is that you are caught in your trauma cycles, because even just saying, I want to work this out, and asking someone else what they think, you're afraid of something, or you would have already done it. Now, the very simple thing is to sit down, pen and paper, or recorder, or whatever, or draw a picture if it's easier. Either way, figure out what that is within you that lined you up with somebody else who's in their pain body, and then do your work to line up with people who are in their alignment with their inner beings, and talk to them. Talk to them more often than you speak to the people who are in pain body, and then observe that. Observe how it is when you are in alignment with your inner being and when you are not, when you are in alignment with pain body, and the types of people that come in and out of your vibration, right? And in general, when somebody is in pain body or trauma response, and they're suggesting to you to do hurtful things, or to get even, or to punish, or to maintain like a toxic independence about things, the best thing you can do is just let them speak, and be detached from it. And I often tell myself, this is unfolding beautifully. And usually if you just let them like come around, if they're not a person who's constantly stuck in pain body, they will come back. They'll give you their crud advice, and then they'll come back up and say, well, there is some good stuff about it. You could try this, you could try that. And if they don't ever get there, then just let them peter out, and then change the subject. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say thank you and stuff like that, because you don't want to reward people who are giving you their pain body ego response. But don't, be grateful for it anyways, because they're teaching you something about who you're attracting in your vibration, and you're learning about them too. And what I've found most beneficial is when I have people in my vibration that are in pain body, and I'm doing my work and I'm getting myself an up vibration. It's usually that they've come into my vibration not because I am attracting them in pain body anymore, but because they, at least subconsciously, want to learn how to come up in vibration, like I've been learning. And when you recognize somebody who's in that space, who's asking you for advice or asking you how to learn more, then you can offer them information like this with your own words and your own experiences. Anyways, I'm coming across, so I've already hit the 20-minute mark, which is far more than I meant to post, so please let me know if any further detail would be appreciated, or if this was just full of way too much information. And by all means, please reach out, madamthanatos@gmail.com. I'm happy to offer any bits of advice that I can to anyone open to it.